She was this gun-toting, whiskey-drinking broad.
The super epic fucking broad.
She was a pioneer in the industry.
She's also so famous and so controversial.
So controversial.
So she's kind of a big fucking deal.
Her story is so incredible. She belongs on this podcast because she's a broad you should know. Hello and welcome to Broads You Should Know, the podcast about amazing and noteworthy women from history. I am your host, Sara Chloe, and I am joined today by our favorite Chloe Skye.
Hello, it's me.
Chloe is here, and we're on YouTube.
What?
I know, Chloe, can you believe I put the podcast on YouTube?
I think it's great. I'm glad I figured out how to make video work.
And also, I'm glad we both recently had our hair done. I'm really glad for it.
Me too.
Now I have to do it more often, I feel like, and not let my roots grow out so bad.
Yeah, it's great though.
Yeah, I love your blue.
Thanks.
Hey listeners, we're on YouTube now. I've made some executive decision to try to just, do more with a pod and be on more platforms. So if you are a YouTuber and you like listening on YouTube, you can find us there now. Yeah. And you can check out me and Chloe's cool backdrops.
Yeah. So cool. It's the coolest.
And if you're into judging people for what's on their walls and stuff, and
oh yeah,
you can do that too. We don't really care what you think, but we're there for it. So
judge away.
Judge away. Yeah, and actually probably comments will boost us. So comment whatever you want.
That's right. Yeah. The meaner the better, because then other people will fight back. Will
they?
Yeah. If someone's too mean on anywhere, other people are hey, that's mean, and it doubles the number of comments you get. It's really great.
Oh my gosh, let's do it. Let's start a campaign.
Yeah. BeMeanToMe.com.
Chloe, it's been a little while since you guested.
It has. What was it, the Barbie episode?
It was the Barbenheimer.
Barbenheimer.
That was a while. It was too long.
That was
too long
June,
ago.
July. That was July.
Good Lord. What?
Yeah. It's been almost 5 months. It's crazy.
We've been busy bitches.
That's true.
Busy bitches. And Barbie still killed in the box office and continues to kill domestically, internationally, all the above. That was a good episode.
So amazing. Yeah.
Chloe, I'm putting you on the spot. Have you listened to any of the more recent episodes? Did you listen to any of the witch episodes we just did?
I have not listened to the most recent 4 episodes, but they are all saved in my podcast player. They're all just lined up. They're just ready for me to
okay, cool. Well, we'll have
hour.
to download about that later, because I totally want to hear what you think about it. And I totally want to hear what judgments you have, for how I do on my own.
Yeah, I'm a judgy bitch, so.
Yeah, I know. That's how we're friends, right?
Yeah.
I actually feel like we're listeners who don't know us are probably it's actually not accurate. We're very non-judgmental.
Yeah, that's facts.
Yeah, in fact, there's way too much judging in the whole world, and I'm ready for people to start letting go of that shit.
Yeah, that's why we make a
I
joke.
don't police people's comments on YouTube, but I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the meanness.
Yeah,
and the criticism.
I don't know what happened, what switch I made in my brain that I finally just stopped looking at comments anywhere ever. And I've been happier.
Yeah. I try not to engage. I try not to read them. Or sometimes I'll read them out of curiosity, but I'll there's a separate pocket of things I don't have feelings about. And the comments section floats over into that. And it's wow, people are fucking crazy. And then I just
people have the weirdest things to just get so mad about.
So mad. It makes no sense. Why? How mad? I sometimes see those comments and I think to myself, and maybe this is mean and judgmental, but I sometimes think these people need bigger problems in their life. Why are you putting so much energy into this little weird? I've never understood that.
Mm-hmm. Y'all just got nothing going on.
Because I have so much other shit I have to put my energy into that I just can't focus on comments like that. It's comments are the lowest rung of social interaction.
Yeah. Because you don't even know, that person could be actually unstable, and that person could be anywhere in the world, could be anyone in the world. If I met somebody on the street who said some of those things, I wouldn't take their opinion seriously, so why would I do it on the internet?
Oh my gosh. Anyway, well, I'm so excited you're here because I want to do like a debrief on a few like pop culture things slash like, you know, feminist world, women's rights, things going on in the world that relate to all things broads and all things. I want to start with my, obviously, the thing you and I probably care about the most, the Marvels.
The Marvels!
Oh my God. We haven't even actually talked about it, you and me together,
It's
like
true.
offline.
Yeah.
I fucking loved it. I took myself to the theater. I took myself on a date and I went to see it and I loved every second of it. And it's not just because of the Flurkins and because I love cats and Flurkins.
But the
Although
more
that
the
is
better.
a huge part of it.
Yeah. There's a
And it
little
was just
Flurkin.
Oh my God. That whole scene when they were like swallowing oh my God. So perfect.
Let the cats eat you.
But like, so the reason I wanted to talk about it, I want to like heap a bunch of praise on it. And Nia DaCosta doing like this amazing directing job. Like she's the
I don't
first,
envy any of the Marvel directors.
is she the first female director in the Marvelverse? She's not, right? There's been
She
at least
might
a
be
few
the
others.
first solo female director. Because the first Captain Marvel was co-directed by a woman and a man. I don't know if there was another one directed by a woman.
I should.
Oh
I
wait,
should look it up.
no, that's not true. The Eternals was Chloe
Oh,
Zhao.
that's right. And actually, I really loved the Eternals.
I liked that one too.
By like box office standards and rumors or whatever, the Eternals sucked. I actually enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I'm actually enjoying the new wave of Marvel, but all the old school Marvel fans hate it.
Mm-hmm.
They hate it.
Stop taking risks. Give me exactly what I wanted.
Give us more toxic masculinity. I miss my
Iron
toxic
Man.
masculinity. That's what I feel like it actually comes down to. That's my theory. Is like people like miss the toxic masculinity so much. They can't take it. They're like, where's my superhero movie with toxic? I'm like, just keep watching The Boys. Also, I love that show. I'm not actually even shitting on The Boys, but like just watch shows that like really lean into that.
Yeah,
get your toxic masculinity there.
Plenty of stuff out there.
There can be a great movie without toxic masculinity and like dick measuring and like all of that. And then we have these like three badass babes. I feel bad calling the little one babe because I feel like she's a kid. The actress isn't a kid though.
Right. She's like 20 something, but like she is playing like a 15 or 16-year-old. So
yeah. But she's still a babe. She's still a badass babe.
She's amazing. She was the highlight of the film. Like,
her and her family.
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
love
God.
her family so much. You watched the show, right?
I actually, oh my God, I meant to watch it before we did this episode and I didn't get to it because I've been really busy moving and things and I haven't been able to do it. I haven't watched it yet.
You would have liked the movie even more if you'd watched that show. That's the only show that I think you actually need to watch to like appreciate the movie better.
Yeah. Well, I didn't feel like I didn't appreciate the movie. Like I felt like really quickly I understood the context of probably what the show was setting up. Like I didn't feel like I was like missing out on everything. They just would have been characters I knew already and like there probably would have been I feel like more inside jokes or whatever. But yes. I did not feel like I couldn't understand the movie.
Right.
Because
and the whole premise of the show is like her getting the bangle thing.
The bangle, yeah.
Yeah. And like learning about her family history and like being sent back in time and like they do like that thing that they do where there's like one line of dialogue that summarizes the entire show and it's really funny but it's like oh yeah that was 6 episodes of content you just summarized in one sentence. Like that's
pretty good actually. That's pretty impressive.
It is pretty impressive.
And yet I feel like this is really what I wanted to talk about is like the heart of the narrative of all of the news about the Marvels is that it's a flop. And it's like grossly untrue. It's like, it's this completely made up narrative. And what I love is that, oh my God, here, I brought the stats actually, Chloe. I actually brought some stats for us.
Okay.
Because, there's this narrative of like, oh, it's a big flop females can't lead, female-led franchise movies don't do well. That's like this narrative in Hollywood and in the like news and in the review sites and on the blah, 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 blah.
Some of the reviews I saw were just like gloating over like, haha, it seems like this movie's not going to do well. That's what Marvel gets for having women in charge. I was like, what are you even talking about? Like, can I find a review written by a woman, please? This is
Well, I
absurd.
found this. I was like, of course, scrolling the Foss book, and there was this awesome article that my friend David Rice posted, and it was about how literally, numerically, Marvel did better than both Killers of the Flower Moon and Napoleon.
Well,
And
that's very, very true.
both of those movies are being lauded as successes in the industry and in the box office or wherever, and the Marvels is being called a flop. And like the whole article was about how like literally if you're measuring by the standards that you're calling like the criteria that you're using to measure the quote failure of the Marvels, if you apply it to Napoleon and to Killers of the Flower Moon, both of those movies are much worse flops, quote flops,
Yeah.
than the Marvels.
Because I'm sure those movies also, like, it's probably not exactly the same budget, but I feel like it's close.
They're close. I have the numbers right here. So the Marvels cost $220 million to make, and Killers of the Flower Moon and Napoleon were both $200 million movies.
Wow.
And yeah.
Wow.
And opening weekend, Killers of the Flower Moon made $23 million. And opening of Napoleon, which was also on Thanksgiving, so it includes the Thanksgiving like holiday
that movie,
numbers.
Tanked,
that made
didn't it?
$32 million. And the Marvels made $46 million opening weekend in the US only. So like numerically, like all that narrative is
double
like
the Flower Moon?
completely false. Yes, it didn't quite double. Actually, no, it did. It doubled Flower Moon. Yeah. And global to date, 6 weeks for Killers of the Flower Moon was 151 million, and Marvel's has global to date at 3 weeks, half the time, 187 million.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And Napoleon has only been running 1 week and it's at 79 million. So who knows where I guess it will
Honestly,
go.
Napoleon's
globally.
doing better than I thought it was doing. So I was like, nobody's going to see that movie.
Want to see it like only because I'm like curious about what they did with the story, and I'm curious about Joaquin. I've always liked Joaquin Phoenix. Like I kind of want to see what
he's
he
an
does.
interesting actor.
Like
I'm gonna wait till they release the director's cut on Apple Plus because all the reviews I've heard so far have been like, this movie feels like it's missing a lot of things. Things just kind of happen and then it's over. I was like, okay, I'll wait till they release the hour longer director's cut, please.
It's just like the like false narrative or like like it's just so fucking crazy to me. Like that's a press thing, right? Like that is
it's
like
gotta be. I think it's just because people really want the like Marvel thing to be over and they want it to be failing. And so this is the lowest grossing Marvel film in since like year one MCU. Like it's still a big movie and it's doing well compared to many other big budget movies, but compared to general Marvel trends, it's like it's one of the lower grossing ones.
But I feel like what I read, and I can't quote it because I didn't pull up the article in advance here, but like I feel like what I've read is that in general box office takes are down, down across the board. Like not just Marvel, but like movie theaters post pandemic have not quite like gotten back to like some of their old original numbers.
It's just like every once in a while we get like a Barbie that like surprises everyone, and so they're just expecting everything to be the same, but like it's never going to be the same. Like you can't, it's not an apples to apples comparison. Like the world is different. The way we watch content is different. So it's, the fact that it's made almost $200 million, like I feel like that says that did well. That seems good.
And that one article that I had kind of first like sparked this whole idea of like wanting to talk about on the podcast too was also talking about how like the companies that are like putting these films out like don't even care about box office take because their income comes in from so many ways. And like for Marvel's, like Disney is going to probably put like a friggin' ride together at one of their parks and they're going to sell all this merchandise too. Mm-hmm. And their global take is going to be fucking huge. and they don't care so much about like what their literal theatrical box office is, because as a company they're so huge that they have like income coming in from anywhere. And the same is true of Napoleon and because the Flower Moon, I think, are Apple, I think is what it was saying.
Yeah, those are both Apple.
Yeah, and because Apple's a tech company before it's a studio, so like the whole like face of who and like the studio's producing and like what, it's all changing right now. Like, so the box office narrative is like just not caught up. Like it does, and it doesn't account for the streaming at all. It only counts for in like like literal like tickets bought in the theaters, right?
Yeah, I feel like, and I just feel like Disney kind of shot themselves in the foot by like making so much Disney Plus only original Marvel content, because people got used to watching Marvel stuff at home. And so now when a movie comes out in the theater, they're like, well, it's going to be on Disney Plus in like a couple months.
But I think they still make money off of it because they have subscribers and people stay subscribed because of that content. So,
but it's the people who like, you know, the box office pundits who are like, you know, decrying the fall of cinema and the failure of women to be in movies.
The fall of cinema due to women being in leadership.
Yeah, obviously entirely women's fault. This would never have happened if all of the Marvels were men. We all know that. These are
like even comparatively to the men-led parts of Marvel, it's like kicked ants. And I, for the record, I like Ant-Man and I enjoyed it very much. But like I think the Marvels has kicked Ant-Man's ass, like, and Quantumania, all of that. Like
that movie was like the steepest second week drop off for any movie.
I fucking loved it. I laughed my ass off. I love Paul Rudd.
Yeah, I had a good time.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was fine.
It was fine.
Yeah, probably one of my least favorite Marvel movies, but still a good time. You know.
Oh, I have other least favorite ones.
It's a long list now. There's like 34 of these things.
There's so many of them, but I like can't even hardly get through like Civil War and all that. It's like, I don't know. It's the dick measuring. It's too much for me. It's like, I gotta get it. It's like not an interesting story. Oh, and Iron Man and Captain America are mad at each other the whole movie.
Yeah.
Oh, and
your friend killed my mommy.
Oh my God. I can't handle it. Anyway, I was so upset about all of the bad reviews about the Marvels, all the quote bad reviews, which most of which are by people who like haven't even seen it or whatever. I actually literally went on both like IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes and I wrote my own reviews for the movie. Like I don't usually put forth that much effort for anything, but I was so angry. I was like, what are these idiots writing these fucking reviews, and how can I, one person, counteract them? I'm write my own review.
Yeah. No, I thought the movie was a great time. I had a great time.
It was
great.
And
it's like 100 minutes. It's like you get in, you get out. Like a lot of those movies are like 2 hours, 2 hours 20, 2.5 hours. And this one's like, no, we have a story to tell. We're going to tell it quickly. You're going to have a fun time and you're going to go home happy.
And it was such a great, like, I really appreciate, like, I feel like the diversity of the film is the most well done and natural. Like, here's 3 characters with 3 wildly different backgrounds and like socioeconomic upbringings, right? And like, have we even had like a Muslim hero be center yet? Or was that?
No, Kamala Khan's the first one.
Yeah, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
That is so huge. And her whole family being there and being a part of the story, like, it almost actually makes me cry. Like, I just, like, loved
I cried
so
several
much.
times. I cried several times in the movie.
And they just brought this, like, life and this heart to the movie. Because Captain Marvel, like, struggles with heart, right? Because she's, like, such an Air Force bitch. Like, I personally, I love that about her. But, like, relatably, like, sometimes I think that's hard. I think that's part of why sometimes people don't like her, is she seems to be. And also I feel like maybe that's why people don't like Black Widow as much, as like she's like this like trained extreme spy that like doesn't have as many emotions and doesn't, you know, like feel. And then like you had like the Khan family just like brought this life and this heart and God, that whole storyline too with them. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna forget the character's name. The other Marvel. I gotta look it up.
Oh, right.
I'm so terrible with names. You know this about me. Listeners, you know this about me.
I have a Funko Pop of her over my shoulder.
I know, I want to get it right. I want to get her character name right. For fuck's sake. Oh, Monica Rambeau. And the whole thing with like Monica and all of the unspoken shit around her mother's death and like Captain Marvel like not, but all of that shit, like that is such great storytelling. And it's such a like, it felt like such a real thing to me, like a real, in terms of like the heart struggle of it, right? Of like someone not being there when something really horrible was happening to someone they both love, like missing that, coming back to having your mom gone and then not having the emotional support from the other person that you is like considered your closest like godmother / aunt / best friend, and like the whole that left, like all of that. I'm getting chills talking about it right now. Like, I just feel like it is such a daily life occurrence, like a thing that happens where somebody misses something and then there's this hole and then there's this anger and then there's this like true resentment, and it's not anybody's fault necessarily. It's just like missed boats and miscommunications. And for me, it was just like such a relatable, incredible piece of storytelling. And I just loved it. And there's a subtlety and like a beauty and a naturalness to it that was so unforced, and so the relationship between all three of the characters, I just fucking loved it. It just felt so great to me. I don't know. Am I even being articulate, or am I just
yes, no, you make perfect sense. And everything you're saying, I fully agree with. And that specific dynamic that you're talking about is the part where I cried the hardest. So, yeah, no,
Can you even imagine? And that snap obviously was very traumatic for like everybody in the entire population. Now, isn't it weird to think about the snap being almost? It just popped into my head like that snap in the Avengers was like similar to COVID.
It's like the COVID of the Marvel universe. Yeah, it's like
Except thing you can't unsnap it.
Right. It's a thing that happened, and then years have passed, and things are like trying to get back to normal, but like we're still always constantly dealing with the ramifications of the fact that it happened and is sort of technically still happening. And like, yeah, it's definitely like, and it came out like 6 months before COVID happened. Like, it's crazy timing, the crazy coincidence.
It's crazy. I literally never thought about it until this moment. I'm like really, my brain is like really turning it over right now. Man. But I just love, like, I don't feel like the other Marvel movies, like I feel like they've addressed the snap. Like they don't pretend like the snap didn't happen. But I guess Ant-Man does kind of talk about it a little bit more. But I don't feel like
the third Spider-Man movie like made it a joke, or the second one made it a joke, where they like come back and then they're like, "Hey, your little brother is now older than us and hot, and what the heck is up with that?" And like, just like a high school drama of like, some of us snapped away and we have to come back and we have to restart the school year. Like, that sucks. We already did half of it, but it's been 3 years, so I guess we got to start over. And like, like that kind of stuff. But other than that,
but there was like a level of depth to it that in the Marvels, because of that storyline, that like,
because of the specific drama of Monica Rambeau's, like, I snapped away, and when I snapped back, my mom had died in the interim. Like, that's and how crazy
up. Like, you don't even get to say goodbye, and you don't even get like, oh my, I'm getting chills.
You missed the whole thing, and just like, I was gonna go walk in that room and see her, and now it's different people. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy.
It was beautiful. It was really beautiful in a way that I did not kind of anticipate. I wasn't ready. What a great movie. Listeners, if you have not seen it yet, you have got to go see it.
Yeah.
Like, don't listen to whatever the reviews or whatever. Honestly, all of my friends on Facebook all have been posting about how much they love it, because we know the rhetoric has been like heavily against it, but people who've actually seen it have all loved it. So
it's a great time. You'll laugh. You'll cry.
Higher, further, faster, baby.
Higher, further, faster.
Can I confess something on this podcast to everyone here and you, Chloe?
Please do, yeah.
When I went to get my haircut today, I got the Brie Larson the Marvels haircut. I like pulled up the picture of her in the Marvels and I was like, wait, should I pull it up for the audience who's watching on YouTube? Because they can see it on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
I was
Please
like,
do.
Is my phone even going to work right now? Probably not. Yeah, I like go to my hairdresser and I'm like, this is what I want. I want to be Brie Larson in the Marvels. And it's a great haircut, actually.
It is a good haircut.
I love Brie Larson. I love her as Captain Marvel. I love Captain Marvel. Fuck the haters.
Big fan. Big fan.
Man, she's like way more powerful than like all the superheroes, and that they all kind of like pretend that she's not.
Yeah.
And she pretends she's not.
Yeah. But she's by far the most powerful one.
Yeah. I feel like if I were the hero, probably I would act like that too. If that was me, I would totally be like, oh, I'm all right. I'm just cool. Like, I'll help however I can help. Even though I'm the most powerful one ever. Yeah. That was like an evil laugh. It turned evil at the end.
No spoilers, but I like towards the end when Monica's like, well, did you think about trying this? And she's like, no. She's like, well, aren't you like the most powerful thing ever? Couldn't you just do that? And she's like, I guess.
But she's not the most brainy though. Like that checks out with her character.
Yeah, perfectly checks out.
Which is great.
Monica's a freaking space scientist. So like she's like, why didn't you try that? She's like, oh, well, I don't know. She's a fucking brilliant astronaut. Yeah. I didn't know I could do that.
Oh my God.
It's so great.
You know what? The only criticism I agree with the movie is that I didn't love the villain.
Yeah.
I agree with
liked
some of
the
that
actor
criticism.
though. I thought she was great.
Yeah, there was something about, I don't know what it was.
They just didn't give her enough to do. Like I think another pass on the script could have like really brought out some extra colors in there. But like, yeah, she's kind of one note. But I thought even for being one note, like she still brought some, like I can tell she's an interesting and engaging performer, and I'm excited to see what else she does.
Oh yeah, she's talented for sure. I don't know, it must have been the script, but even like I liked the storyline with the villains. I like the fact that Captain Marvel, actually I really liked it. I should have made this a main talking point. Is that I really loved that, like, oh, you fixed a problem, but you caused a huge other problem because you didn't think about the repercussions of that. And then this problem leads to this problem, leads to this problem.
Mm-hmm.
I actually love
cascading problems.
That whole line of thinking of like, because also I feel like the superhero movies never think about that. Of like, oh, we have this giant super. I mean, this is a major problem with the.
It's a real criticism of foreign policy. Like, just like, hey, it might be bad over there, but like, you're not going to be able to fix it because you don't know the intricacies and the nuance of what's going on over there. So maybe don't just like unplug the system and think it's going to sort itself out.
Right. Yeah, it was a very, like, obviously it's fantasy, but it's like a relatable theme that I was excited to actually see in the, so I'm sad that I didn't like love the execution, but I still loved the movie, so didn't ruin the movie for me. Still lots of fun. Anyway.
Yeah, and honestly, one of the most engaging like conceits that a Marvel movie's had in a while of like, what happens if you use your powers and you accidentally switch places with somebody else who's using their powers at the same time?
Oh my God, those sequences were so funny.
So fun. So fun.
And then when they were finally figuring it out and were able to like use it when they were fighting, like that was really cool.
The like scene where they're like the scene where they're like training how to do it.
Yeah.
Is so good.
I know.
They're like throwing the ball to each other and like activating and switching places and catching the ball they just threw. It's so good.
It was so good. It was so good. I just loved it. And I also loved the world building. Nia DaCosta did a great job of that. And like obviously her designers and all the support staff, like she's not alone, but like when they get to like the land where everybody has to speak in musical. And then the guy was bilingual so he could speak singing.
I wanted so much more of that.
Oh my gosh, so much. It was so great.
Just give me 20 minutes on this planet instead of 5. Like I'll accept, you know?
I know. I mean,
And
I'm
like,
not sad the movie wasn't longer, but they
right,
did
right,
a great
right,
job.
right.
They did
Yeah.
a great job.
Yep.
And most movies can tend to be shorter. Like, part of the reason I haven't seen Killers of the Flower Moon and Napoleon is that they're both really long.
Look,
And I'm
Killers of the Flower Moon is the longest movie of all time.
I'm
And
worried.
You're just sad for 4 hours.
And
You're
I
just
also
sad and getting sadder and getting angrier and getting sadder for 4 hours.
It's 4? I thought it was 3.
It's like
4.
3 hours and 45 minutes.
Well, also just with like the craziness of life and moving and all that bullshit, I'm like, if I go sit down in a dark movie theater for 3 hours, I'm gonna fucking fall asleep.
You will. You
Like,
absolutely
I'm like
will.
seriously worried about that, and I don't want to pay for a movie ticket and fall asleep.
But
And
then the movie knows that, and every time you're about to fall asleep, they like explode a house or something. So
yeah, but I don't know. It's not good for my sleep pattern.
I honestly, like, I'm glad that I saw it, and I'm glad I gave it like paying attention to it and giving it the respect that it deserves. But like, I'm not gonna recommend people go see it. Like,
It's already, Killers of the Flower Moon is already winning like Best Picture awards and things like that. I just want to say that's bullshit. Barbie should win everything.
Barbie should win everything.
Win everything.
Scorsese has enough, and like, I get it. It's like an important story, but like, it would be better if Scorsese wasn't the one telling it.
But it's also an important story that's also told with a white character at the center of it. And like, I'm fucking done with that shit. Like, why do we have to have a white character center for people to watch it? And,
right. Why are
not
all
that many
of the
people.
main characters white people, and then there's like one important character who isn't?
And you have this apparent. I haven't seen it, so I'm saying apparently, but this apparently a brilliant like leading actress playing the wife.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why isn't she the actual lead and not?
She actually should be. And I feel like if she was the lead and like the narrator of the story, it would be twice the movie that it is. But like, as it is, I'm like, it's a pretty good movie telling a story that's better than it is, and it's too long, and it's a bummer. Like, it's a bummer. Just gonna be bummed out.
It is. It's an
hours.
important bummer. It's important to know those stories. It's really important to tell the stories of all the crimes against
Yes,
the indigenous tribe. Like, that is an important thing.
We
so
are
I don't
now
want to dismiss
scratching
that.
the surface.
I don't want to dismiss that, but it's also important to acknowledge, like, when we white center a story like that, like, that's part of the problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Scorsese just doesn't. It's Scorsese. He just does what he wants.
Right. I mean, he did like completely rework the script after like talking to a bunch of Native Americans and like tribal leaders and stuff, because the story originally was just going to be centered on the FBI investigator, and Leonardo DiCaprio was going to play the FBI investigator who solves all the crimes and like figures it out and like saves the day. And then like, he spoke to a bunch of people and they were like, so this is a movie where a white man shows up to a place where bad things have been happening and fixes everything. That is not the way to do this. And so he reworked the whole thing and added 2 hours.
So it's better than it was.
It's better than it was. There's now 2 hours that happen before the investigator shows up. And yet Leonardo DiCaprio is still the lead. He's just the guy doing the crimes instead of solving the crimes.
Interesting. Was that a spoiler?
No, like immediately.
That he's the one doing the crimes?
Well, he's not the one planning the crimes, but he's the one doing them, because he's like going around like, hey, you have to go assassinate her sister, and then you have to go over there and you have to kill her, and then you have to do
thought that he was the victim. Like, him and his wife were the victim. Wow. Maybe I don't even need to see it now.
It's a bit of both. Like, his family is the victim, but he's the one doing it because there's someone else who has a bigger plan. Like, because the Native Americans are all rich because America like shuffled them off to this one specific land, and when they got there they found oil, and so they got really, really, really rich. And so in this one little town, the Native Americans are the rich people and the white people are like their drivers and their butlers, and some white people move out to the town and they're not happy about that. So they make a plan to like, okay, so if we get a bunch of white guys to marry into this family and then they have tragic deaths, you will inherit all of their money, and money will come back to the white people. And that's like the long-term plan set over decades.
Oh my God. White people are so terrible.
Right?
So terrible.
Yeah. And it's even like a plot point in the movie that like, oh, hey, did you hear like just a few towns over was Tulsa. The Tulsa massacre just happened over there. And like it's just like telling this story about like white people at this time in history sure didn't like not white people being rich and powerful.
Sure didn't.
So,
Sure didn't.
but
Speaking of
anyway,
oil, though, that's actually a really good segue to something else I want to talk about today.
let's talk about it.
Have you heard of COP28? Do you know what that is?
No. I don't.
It's the
I'm
UN's.
woefully
It's
uninformed.
the UN's coalition of parties. I think is what it stands for, and it's like the climate. It's basically the big yearly climate conference.
This is
It
sounding more
happens
familiar now. Yes,
around
this
the
is
world.
sounding familiar now.
And that's happening right now. And guess where it's happening?
Uh,
It's in fucking Dubai. It's like,
okay.
or actually, no, it's in the United Arab Emirates, which is Dubai, right? Isn't Dubai in? Yeah, the Emirates. Which is like the most oil producing place in the entire world.
Uh-huh. Oh my gosh.
And the guy that's in charge of leading it, his name is let me see, Sultan Ahmed Al Jaber. I'm sorry, everybody. I don't know how to pronounce everything very well. And he is the head of the UAE's biggest oil company, and he's the. And I have a question. Actually, do you want to guess what our favorite broad, one of our favorite broads, Greta Thunberg, had to say about that?
What's wrong with you? What is this hypocrisy?
When they first announced it, like in June or July, she was like, quote, completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
But she also thinks that the whole COP organization is just a lot of blah, blah, blah. Literal quote, blah, blah, blah.
She's right.
Because they all
She's
talk about
absolutely
stuff
right.
and they never do anything. Yeah, and she didn't go. She didn't go to COP. She was like, I'm not going.
Yeah,
because
they're not going to solve anything. They're not going to do anything.
I guess protesting isn't even really allowed in the UAE. So, like, It's like, what can we even do there? And also, to get there actually is like an enormous carbon footprint, which is part of what she refuses to kind of participate in. So, she refuses to fly. She doesn't fly places. She only, I think she tries to take trains most of all. And so she decided not to go. So she's not even there.
Good for her.
Fuck yeah. But the UAE, what the fuck?
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It's just, it's laughable. It's honestly, like, if it wasn't so devastating, I would be laughing.
I first heard about this. I was like, of course, in the car listening to NPR, and they started talking about it, and I was like, what? And then I was like, I wonder what Greta has to say about that. So I went home and I Googled, like, what does Greta have to say about COP28? And that's where I found her quote. And it is so fucking laughable that, like, that is, like, apparently he's a nice guy and his heart's in the right place, and everybody's kind of defending him, blah, 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 blah. But the fact that it's in the UAE.
Sounds like a bunch of blah, blah, blah.
Sounds like a bunch of blah, blah, blah. We love you, Greta. We support you, Greta. What the fuck is going on? Why always?
They're just laughing at us. Like, I don't know if they think we don't know or if they just think it's hilarious.
Like the oil companies, like all of the lobbyists and shit.
And even the politicians who are like in their pockets who are like, no, we're going to go tell them to pollute less. And actually probably just get a bunch of checks written out to us from them.
Well, there was some hubbub when John Kerry, who is there representing the U.S., as well as Kamala Harris, apparently he announced that the U.S. is going to try to completely shut down coal production at this point. He set he set a year for it, a deadline for it. So of course, all of the Republican conservative, not a year. They set a year like timeline for when coal production will be over.
What year? Is it like 2050 or something?
John Kerry coal.
It always seems like it's just like 25 years away or something. I mean, and I guess I get it. You need to do things slowly, but also we're all going to die.
I'm trying to see if a quick search will find like the answer. He said the coal plants should not be permitted anywhere in the world, apparently. Let's see.
True.
Did he give the deadline? Shit, I should have looked it up before it. Yeah, U.S. makes major coal announcement. Okay, let me just pull the article up. It's worth waiting for, listeners, to find out.
Yeah.
Let's see. The U.S. announced it would be joining the Powering Past Coal Alliance, the PPCA, committing to a moratorium on new unabated coal plants and phasing out existing unabated coal power generation by 2030 for developed countries and non-developed countries by 2040. So that 2030, that's less than 10 years, actually.
Okay, that's actually better than I was expecting.
But is it a lot of blah, blah, blah?
Right.
Or
the
are we
question
really going to do it?
Is it actually going to happen?
But I heard what's-his-face is going to retire. So maybe in the fucking Senate.
Which what's-his-face?
Schumer, right? Wasn't it Schumer who was the coal plant fuckwad holding out on the Democratic Party?
Yeah.
I'm speaking pretty openly about my political views. When I always speak openly, I'm never lying about anything.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe with him out, maybe politics can actually move past coal, for fuck's sake.
That would be nice.
People act like we're not going to find other jobs to replace those jobs with, and it's just not true. Like, life moves on.
We always find
industry
jobs
moves
to
on.
replace the jobs. We always find jobs to replace the jobs.
It's just an insane, like it's like in Jurassic Park. Life finds a way. Like, it finds a way. People find jobs. It will be okay.
And eventually, we don't need everyone to necessarily have a job. Like, the type of work and the amount of work that actually needs doing is not what we're pretending it is.
Yeah. And also, like, wind and solar has been like way more successful than people like gave it credit for or thought it would be. Like, people are really leaning into it. I've been listening more and more to stories about like farmers who are like, letting them install these wind turbines was the best thing I ever did because the extra income is really helping my farm. And like, it's amazing. And people fought so hard against it. It's just crazy.
The people fight hard against every good thing. It's so annoying. You go back and watch like the people complaining about seatbelts. And they're like, what is this, socialism? I gotta be safe. Like,
socialism.
Literally.
This safety device in my deadly vehicle that I drive.
And like all the car companies like lobbied against Congress. Like, how dare you make us put seatbelts? Do you know how much this is going to cost us? An extra like $7 a car. That's great. Just like,
you know what? Stupid. Greta blames the lobbyists, and I agree with her. I think the lobbyists are a major, major problem in politics. And I think if we got rid of the lobbies, I think it
would solve a lot of problems.
I think it would lead to the resolution of a whole bunch of bullshit, including gun rights, gun activists, blah, 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 all that shit. Blah, blah, blah. I use it too, Greta.
Blah, blah, blah.
Okay, there's one more thing I want to talk about before it gets too late for us to be like comprehensible. And that is, did you know that Justice Sandra Day O'Connor just died?
I did, because you told me.
Well, it felt inappropriate that we did a toast to our RGB and that we wouldn't do like a little toast to Sandra D. Because she was the first female justice on the Supreme Court of the United States of the America. The United
States of the one America that exists.
And she was like a trailblazer for women. Did you know though? Okay, so I didn't know very much about her, right? So I'm like reading the obits, and she was a Republican. She was like a conservative. Except that her level of conservative now makes the current conservatives make her look like a liberal. Because the court has shifted so vastly since she was on it, which is really it's really interesting as you like look at the spectrum and how it shifts around. And once she was considered so conservative, and like if she was a justice today, she would probably be at least a moderate, if not like on the other side.
What year was she appointed?
Oh, she was. I didn't write it down, but I have it close by. Let me see. It's in the New York Times article that I have open in another tab. She was appointed. Let's see. Reagan in 1981 appointed her. Yeah. 81. And she served for 24 years on the Supreme Court. And she only retired because her husband at the time had Alzheimer's and was like declining, and she wanted to take care of him. So she retired to take care of him.
Okay.
Which is very lovely.
Yeah.
But she was an interesting broad. And like, it's interesting. As I'm reading the obit, especially the New York Times, I felt like did a really good one. It was talking about how when in the time when she was on the court, she was like a very not pervasive, that's the wrong word, but she was the court was kind of considered the O'Connor court, and she was considered one of the most powerful women in America because her voice was very like not I don't want to say dominant because that makes it sound like she like owned the court, but like she was kind of the most prominent justice, I think, in a lot of the biggest decisions that were happening at the time that very much affected all of the decisions that have happened since, including things like gay rights and affirmative action, all of that. She even, let me see, I even pulled a few quotes here. Let's see. Yeah, the most powerful woman in America. And she said also when she was first appointed, quote, "It made me very nervous. It's all right to be the first to do something, but I didn't want to be the last woman on the Supreme Court. If I took the job and did a lousy job, it would take a long time to get another woman on the court." So she like really felt the pressure of that. And the New York Times article was also talking about how when lawyers would be trying their cases in front of her, she would be in front of the whole court. She would immediately have a lot of questions for them, and she was ready at the go. And she would always just like drill them, and they knew that the first thing they ever had to do was to face her. And that when she retired, there was like a weird, eerie silence after they would do their opening speech, where she used to like ask a bunch of questions immediately, and then all of a sudden, like the whole tone of the court just like shifted because of her absence. And obviously the court still functioned normally, but she just was this like really powerful voice. Also, did you know that William Rehnquist, one of the other Supreme Court justices, they dated at some point, and like he, I think, was like trying to propose marriage to her, and she like wasn't into it, and they ended up both being justices on this was before obviously their time on the Supreme Court. This was like when they were in law school and shit. They end up on the Supreme Court together. Like, would that not be fucking crazy to have like your ex-boyfriend on the court with you? And they both married other people and happily.
Right. Yeah.
I think happily. I could.
You never know back then.
You never know. It's true, but man,
that's crazy.
Man.
No, I certainly can't imagine that.
But it took another 11 years. So RBG was the second woman, and it was 11 years after. Oh no, there was a decision. It wasn't 11 years after that. So 93 was when RGB. So what was that? What did I just say? 81 to 93. I guess that's 12 years. 81 to 93. Yeah. Yeah. 12 years it took for a second woman to be appointed to the Supreme Court. Now, part of that's probably like the slow turnover of the court.
Right. Yeah.
People like
so
stay on it till they die, except for Sandra, who retired at the time she wanted to. But
it was more than 12 for the third, right?
Yeah. Well, what is 93? Here, I'll use my calculator on my phone device. 1993 minus 1981 was when she was appointed.
Yeah, that's 12.
That's
but
12.
Then for the third woman to be on the Supreme Court, wasn't that just like the other day?
Wasn't that Elena, right? Was the third one?
Oh, was it?
God, I don't even want to talk about the newest one.
I know, I
Let's
know.
skip that.
Yeah,
please.
we'll avoid that.
But let me see. I got some other great quotes about her that I pulled from her. Also apparently our RBG had drawn on Sandra O'Connor's opinion in one of the cases for one of her cases when she was trying in the court, in her 96 decision, United States versus Virginia, which was about unconstitutional all male admissions policy of a state supported military college. Is that the one is that the one we covered?
Maybe it's unless there's many stories like that.
But she said that like some of the precedent that Sandra set down, like RGB ended up using later. Like she was
Yeah.
she was technically a conservative judge, but she also was very, I think, more in touch. Like she wasn't so backward with like the removal of rights. And she actually did defend gay rights in her decisions. Which, you know, for most conservatives, you kind of wouldn't expect. At least at this point, it seems like nobody wants to defend gay rights on that side of the line. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Maybe it used to be a little bit more normal to be moderate, or at least like have opinions that didn't, or that contradicted your party slightly. Like these days with the internet and sort of the way it all works and the way everyone's just been like just pushed further and further apart. Like it's hard for anyone to ever step outside the party line.
I know, it's worse and worse. There was another anecdote too that also made me really angry. That apparently,
Let's hear it.
apparently when RGB got on the court too, a bunch of lawyers, like they look nothing alike, but because they were both women, male lawyers would constantly mix them up during arguments.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And at one point they had at one point there were like shirts made for them at a reception that was like, I'm Ruth, not Sandra. I'm Sandra, not Ruth. And it became this like joke that like people couldn't tell the two women apart, which is like, I can't kind of comprehend of like that's not even a microaggression. That's like a major aggression against women. Like to not even be able to tell the difference between two women, like because they're women, it's like astounding to me. It is like, even though I don't expect like, I don't know. I guess it's not that astounding because on this podcast we like hear stories like this all the time. But like the fucking audacity of male lawyers to like not even know which justice they're speaking to. Like pull up her fucking picture, learn who she is, and address her appropriately. Like what the literal fuck? And did they do that with the male justices? Probably fucking not. And like I just like my mind was blown.
That's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing for them.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But also, like, I try to imagine, like, what it would be like to be RGB or to be Sandra D. Like, I'm just calling her Sandra D. For some reason, I like it because of Grease. That's probably, like, even almost derogatory to refer to her like Grease. Look at me, I'm Sandra D.
I don't know.
That's
Grease
what I keep
was about
thinking of.
being conservative, kind of.
But man, I just can't, like, what it would be like to be those women in those shoes being called the wrong fucking name. The wrong
Right?
justice.
You make it all the way to the Supreme Court and people don't even know your name. That's yeah, no, that's disrespectful is like the kindest way to say that.
Like a justice of the Supreme Court of the United States of America, one of whom was at one point at least one of the quote most powerful women
Right.
in America,
Yeah.
mostly because women weren't like ascended to those positions yet. So
No, for apparently enough people to make t-shirts. It was, I don't know, that woman one.
so funny. Those t-shirts were so funny, I'm sure. Ha 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 at the party. Oh my God. Anyway, well, a toast to Sandra Day O'Connor, our first female justice of the United States of America. We are sad to lose her. And you know who we should also toast, actually? I didn't do any research on her. But we ought to toast, oh my God, Carter. Rosalynn Carter died. And she was one of the sweetest first ladies America's ever had.
That was a very sweet couple of people.
Yeah. Like with no ego and no, like still building houses for like Habitat for Humanity, like
Yeah.
up until literally, I think like their health declined so much that they couldn't in like the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Just made it life mission to give back to everybody and everything.
Yeah, we should do a whole episode on her probably.
Yeah.
She would be someone worth covering because so
Definitely worth it.
few people in that position really just were such a beacon of just kind of goodness and kindness.
Yeah.
I'm curious if there's dirt. Maybe there's dirt on them too. Like I haven't done
Maybe.
any
Yeah,
research.
let's uncover it. See
But
what
like
happens.
sweet Jimmy Carter and sweet Rosalynn Carter, like, man, what a loss. But they lived a long time too. It's hard to be super sad when people live. And Sandra was, I think, what was it? She 93. Those are good long lives. So they did a lot in their life. And they were women who accomplished a lot. So a toast to those women we just lost in the last couple weeks here.
Cheers.
They are I like put Rosalynn Carter kind of up there with like Mr. Rogers and like the kindness inspiration factor. Yeah, a huge loss. I hope we have more kind celebrities soon.
Yeah. That'd be nice.
I'd much rather watch a TV show about kind celebrities than the Kardashians, personally. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm the only one.
No, I don't think so. They just don't make it because they don't believe in it.
Ugh, they like the studios?
Yeah, like whoever decides to pitch things and then whoever decides to greenlight things. They're just, that we'll go if it works.
Someday we're going to greenlight our own show about positive influences in the world.
That's right.
And all of the good that they do. And all their fucking struggles and all the microaggressions against them and all the fucking joke t-shirts their male colleagues make for them.
Yeah.
Oh.
Is it called Bras You Should Know?
It might be. Should make a whole TV show, not just a YouTube and podcast.
Eventually, why not? Make it a historical thing.
Well, that was my major talking points I wanted to hit with you, Chloe. Anything else for any broad stuff we should talk about before we sign off? Britney Spears is insane. We love her.
Yeah.
But she's insane.
I mean, it was inevitable. You spend that much time of your life under literally
knife
being
juggling
owned
video
by your father.
I can't.
I don't know. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough.
I'm glad
she's free.
I'm so glad she's free.
Give her a couple years to figure out what life is. If you've been a slave for that long, like you're gonna go through a rough patch as you're trying to heal from that. Like you're going to. That's what happens. So.
Yeah. And other things probably.
And I'm sure there's other things.
I feel like there's some mental things happening. Not that I'm a psychologist, but
right.
I like to think I am a little bit.
I feel like maybe if there's a doctor like force feeding you lithium every day for 20 years of your life, like,
do you think it melts their brains? I feel like it melts my brain.
Yes, I think that's exactly what it does. Yeah. And then, they take her off of it and they're like, oh no, her brain seems broken. We should probably give her more of it. And it's like, no, that's probably what caused it. You're probably making it worse. Stop. Just stop it.
Just stop. Gee, that's exactly.
So at least there's that.
We're glad she's free.
That. Yep.
We're glad she's free. Listeners, if you haven't listened to that episode, that around the time that her conservatorship was up in the courts. That was a cool episode.
It was like almost up. We were just crossing our fingers she'd get out.
She finally got free. And now we all can witness the glory that is middle-aged Britney Spears.
Yep.
Yeah. She's our age, isn't she? I feel like she's our age.
I think she
older?
Maybe no. Well, we're different ages. She's probably like right in the middle.
Know.
Or she's probably your age. I don't know. I don't even know how old you are. I don't know how old she is.
I'm 38, bitch. I'm almost 39.
Okay. She's probably
I don't even hide it. I don't care about people knowing my age. And I don't think people should care about it. How old? I'm Googling it. Is Britney Spears. Britney Spears. Oh, she's 42. So she's a little older than me.
Okay, there you go.
She was born in 1981, the same year Sandra Day O'Connor took the court.
Oh, it was fate.
Fate.
Fated that we talked about them both today.
Oh my gosh. Full circle. We made it full
Honest,
circle. We don't always get full
yeah.
circle, but we did somehow. On camera, nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, Chloe, for being here. I love having you here.
Happy to be here. It's a good time.
Everyone go see the Marvels. It's so good.
Yeah, well, it's still out.
Yeah, and bring your friends and family and,
Just have a good time.
Have a great time. It's a great time. You won't regret it.
True.
You know you won't. And come back next week for another Broad You Should Know.
Bye.
To learn more about Broads You Should Know, head on over to broadsyoushouldknow.com. While you're there, you can click on over to the About page to read more about me and Chloe. Our bios, photos, links to our cool stuff, all right there. Are you following Broads You Should Know on social yet? We are on Facebook and Instagram at Broads You Should Know and Twitter at BYSK Podcast. To suggest a broad, fill out the form on our website or email us at broadsyoushouldknow@gmail.com. If you are a fan of this podcast, we ask you, please help spread the word about us. Share an episode with your friends and family, and better yet, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. You still haven't done it. That's you. You haven't done it. I know you haven't. It really helps us, so please do it. It helps new listeners to find us. Broads You Should Know is produced by me, Sarah Gorski, and edited by Chloe Skye, with original music by Darren Callahan. Finally, if you really enjoyed our Broadly Speaking episodes, then I highly recommend you check out some of our previous Broadly Speaking episodes. Probably in particular, you ought to check out some of our more pop culture-centric Broadly Speakings, especially about The Woman King and our recent Barbenheimer episode. See you next week for another Broad You Should Know.